Hello, in this video I will be showing you how I answer a 12-mark law question. So let's get right in. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the legislative process. So straight away I'd highlight the main key words, which is advantages and disadvantages, and then obviously the legislative process, so that I always refer to these keywords whilst I'm answering my question. This will make sure I don't make any silly errors. So the question's asking about the legislative process. So I've got to bring my mind to the legislative process and what it entails, which is the parliamentary stages, the House of Lords, the House of Commons, Royal Assent. Straight away I'm going to go for democracy. So one of the many disadvantages of the legislative process is that it is argued it is not democratic at all. That's my point. And then I'm going to develop the point. As the House of Lords are not an elected body and play a crucial role in the legislative process. When a bill is sent to the House of Lords, they can affect the legislative process by using delaying tactics, increasing the amount of time it takes to enact a piece of legislation, and then parliamentary ping pong. The Consumers' Rights Act took about 15 months to come into effect. And then I've also given an example. So if I analyze this paragraph, so I link my answer to the question, talking about disadvantages of the legislative process. And then here's my point. It is not democratic because of the House of Lords, not an elected body, and play a crucial role in the legislative process. And that's developed my point. And then to well develop the point, take it further, I explained how it's a disadvantage and what role the House of Lords plays in making the legislative process undemocratic. So when a bill is sent to the House of Lords, they can affect the legislative process by using delaying tactics, increasing the amount of time it takes to enact a piece of legislation. And then I also use an example, and that is what takes it into that level 4 band, making it a well-developed point. Another disadvantage is that the MPs aren't specialists and can't create effective and well-detailed laws that are specific to an industry, as they lack technical expertise, experience, and knowledge in particular fields of work. Therefore, some pieces of legislation won't receive enough scrutiny, rendering acts defective. However, the House of Lords can provide appropriate scrutiny, as some peers possess technical expertise, but in the end, the will of the House of Commons prevails. So at the beginning of the paragraph, I make a point and I link it straight away to the question. So another disadvantage is that the MPs aren't specialists, can't create effective and well-detailed laws. That's my point. And then I develop the point. They lack technical expertise, experience, knowledge in fields of work. Therefore, some piece of legislation won't receive enough scrutiny, rendering acts defective. So I could have talked about how it makes the acts defective or why it's a disadvantage. And then for my well-developed point, I use the however. I use this however statement. The House of Lords can provide appropriate scrutiny as some peers possess technical expertise. In the end, the will of the House of Commons prevails. So using this however statements really gets you into that level 4 band, and it really shows that you know about the legislative process and the extent of the advantages or disadvantages. And it also shows that you're linking your answer back to the question, because the question is telling you to discuss the advantages and disadvantages. So here you're discussing the advantage and its extent. So using this however statement, you're discussing the extent of the disadvantage. You're saying, yes, it's a disadvantage, but to an extent, as the House of Lords can apply scrutiny. So now that you've seen how I've structured my answer, feel free to answer this question yourselves. And remember, point, developed point, and well-developed point. That's how each paragraph should be structured. A nice, easy to follow structure.